What's your name?
My master. Your father called me Alucard.
Hi there, I'm Crispin Freeman, and I play the voice of Alucard in the Hellsing Ultimate OVA series.
And I'm Taliesin Jaffe, and I'm the voice director and script adapter for the Hellsing OVA series. Around 1999, I guess, somewhere around there, a friend of mine who is a Japanese comic book importer at the time, among other things, brought me a couple of the manga prints that had just come out in Japan and handed me this book saying, it's right up your alley, you're going to love it, this is everything that you enjoy. I, having funny hair and lots of black clothing, picked up I just fell in love with this manga, with the vampires, with the violence of it, with the complexity and the fun of it. And at some point they put up they announced that they were doing an animated series and put up a very quick trailer on the internet, and I watched it, and within minutes had sent an email to Jonathan Klein of New Generation Pictures saying, I want this, find it for me. And he had apparently also just seen it and sort of had been under the impression of, I should probably send this link to Taliesin. And within a year or two of that, we started production on it. How I heard about it.
Yeah, the first time I heard about it, I had met Jonathan and Taliesin at a convention in the summer of 2001. And after that, I decided to move to Los Angeles. So we reconnected fall of 2001 when I moved to Los Angeles. And they said they were working on this Hellsing show. So that was the first time I heard of it, was actually through you.
Well, it's a new take on a vampire myth, and I think that's rare. And I think it's its own. It really is its own thing. It stands out as its own story and its own take on vampire myth. I'll even go to clubs sometimes. I'll go to goth clubs, and they have the screens that play random footage above the dance floor. And every now and then I'll run into the Hellsing running up there. And I think a lot of people identify with this new telling of the vampire myth, the new vampire for the 21st century that isn't, it's not cyber vampire. It's the new century's vampire. It's not Anne Rice's vampire. It's not Bram Stoker's vampire. It's not anything we've seen before. And it's a new way to tell that myth. And it's a new way for people to identify with the vampire.
How beautiful. Nights like this make me want to have a bite to drink. Yes, I couldn't imagine a more perfect evening.
I got the role of Alucard when I came to LA at the end of 2001. I was basically had a couple of connections. I had met Jonathan Klein and Taliesin at a convention that summer, and I had some other connections in anime through the companies I'd worked with in New York, and I knew some of the studios in LA. So I basically was calling around, working my connections to see if anyone needed any actors for things. And at the time, Taliesin was casting for Hellsing.
Just started
casting for Hellsing, and so he invited me to come in and audition for the role of Alucard, and we actually talked at length about it because Taliesin was really putting a lot of energy into the casting of the show and a lot of research and effort, and so he was you had a very elaborate casting process because you had taken copy from other sources that you thought was appropriate, British copy that you thought was good, and so you were really persnickety about making sure that people had just the right tone and just the right read.
I was at the time, we didn't actually have scripts finished yet for anything, and it's oftentimes we'll start casting before a word has actually been adapted, and you don't want actors reading translations, subtitles. It's just not going to sound right. You're not going to get any idea of what you're doing, and Alucard especially, but all the characters in the show, Alucard especially was a particularly difficult piece of casting because you have such a particular presence in Japanese, and you have to sort of decide how to deal with this in English and what's going to happen when you bring it over, and what sort of presence you have to put forward. And I hadn't figured out Alucard yet, even a little. I didn't have some image in my mind of what he was supposed to sound like in English, and every time I would try and manifest him bring him out of my brain and bring him into the real world. He would come out like Bizarro Alucard, not quite right. And he kept not quite wanting to be born properly, and we tried these big, heavy badasses, and he was sounding like Jean-Claude Van Damme, and we tried different accents, and it was just not, the character was just not happy. He kept going, no, you don't have it yet. And at some point was, well, how about Captain Tyler?
So we'll bring in Captain Tyler. He'd be perfect as Alucard. I came in an audition, and we tried Alucard with a bunch of different accents too. Because basically, Taliesin and I agreed, I think, maybe he's been disagreeing with me all these years, but I think we agreed on the sort of motivation behind Alucard. And I think that's what drew you to me as an actor to play him, was because that I had a certain take on his psychology that I'm not sure a lot of the other voice actors had. And we played with Alucard having a British accent, having just a sort of straight accent, having a Transylvanian accent, and because we were really trying to find what was the best way to bring him to life.
And it was quite a fight to get him to manifest properly, as it were, and to turn into a character that would work really, really well in English, and sit there and not be campy and not be silly, but be able to have a sense of humor and have drama and have conflict, and not just not turn him into sort of a brute strong man, but at the same time not make him the Anne Rice effeminate vampire, but to try and kind of make a brand new vampire from scratch, which is sort of what had to be done.
Yeah.
And I think we succeeded. I'm quite pleased.
Oh, good.
There are moments that I smile very broadly, and especially watching an audience watch Hellsing. There are moments when you hear or you feel that reaction that the audience has, of the gasp, of the smile, of the laugh, when they just like, my God, this is the coolest person in the entire world.
Nice.
Yes, he is.
Well, that's always good.